Yale Psychiatrist suggests that queer people should avoid Trump-supporting family during the holidays. Dr. Amanda Calhoun, a Yale University child psychiatrist, has advised LGBTQ individuals with Trump-voting family members to set boundaries this holiday season. Appearing on MSNBC's The ReidOut with Joy Reid, Dr. Calhoun shared her perspective on handling potentially tense family gatherings after recent election outcomes. She said, quote, "If you're going through a situation where you have family members or you have close friends who you know have voted in ways that are against you, that are against your livelihood, then it's completely fine not to be around those people and to tell them why," end quote. She encouraged people to express their feelings openly, adding that they can say, quote, "I have a problem with the way you voted. I need to take some space for me," end quote. This message has resonated with many queer individuals facing conflict with family members who may not support their rights. Dr. Calhoun's advice emphasizes prioritizing mental well-being and self-respect in what can be a challenging season for the LGBT community. Well, I have to say, to my disappointment, and it wasn't a shock because we had Trump run before. I have some family that I love very much, and I have some people who voted for both parties. I have a niece who said, "Uncle Larry, if you and Uncle Daniel need to go somewhere, you have us. You can stay in our home." That meant so much to me. She's also my goddaughter. Actually, I'm getting emotional over it because, it's just hitting me right now. But, her dad, who I love, my brother, is voted the other way. And to think that there's such a disparity within families. And I think the one saving grace, it sounds awful, is that I have my chosen family down here. And it's not that I've ostracized. Certainly if I was back up in the Northeast, I would be having Thanksgiving with them. I think certainly we've learned from past experiences, which I can't go into, but would make a great parody of some kind of a family story. We've learned a long time ago that there's certain conversations you don't have when you get together. Let's just say that shit hit the fan one year, probably 20 years ago, when I kissed a former fiance before I met my current husband behind the roses during a farm festival, and got talked to and said, "What are you doing? I have to live here." And I had to tell that beloved relative, "Well,
I have to live in the world.
That's my significant other." We weren't having sex rolling down the street in the cornfields, but we had a kiss, which meant a lot to me. And the next day I stood my ground and we went to my grandma's birthday party. So I have to say, I love my family. I have my chosen family down here. I think it's a personal choice. It's a deeply personal choice. I have a close friend that very gay friendly, but she supported Trump. She posted things on Facebook. She had Trump on the golf course. It might be funny to some people, but AI can do treacherous things, throwing Kamala Harris into a pond. And, people think that's funny. And I just did a night of 1,000 Kamalas with Dana Davis from Married to Mary Productions at the pub on the Drive, trying to support our candidate before the election. So, it's when you have a niece, going back to that, being scared, I think, I'm very lucky to live where I am. And I don't want to say I'm in a bubble. I'm very privileged to live where I am and have the friends and people and community I have. Thank God I'm not in a place where we don't have those resources. I'm not sure how I am, but I am going to say that this year I'm going to push my employer, who I respect and I'm proud to work for, to be very prominent during Gay Pride, just as many other healthcare providers in the community have done in the past. Some with even, past religious connections have stood first and foremost in supporting our community. So I think it's important. Gentlemen?
Yeah, I think Dr. Calhoun does something really important in this story, and just really even giving permission for a person to feel that way. Yes. I think so often when there is that family disconnect, and family is so important to each of us, that torture of that disconnect and dissonance can be, I think, really just deafening to what's going on in the outside world. But I would just want to kind of highlight, well, a couple things. One is I think that a lot of people have, especially queer people, have families where the entire family, has voted against their rights, which is pretty difficult. But Dr. Calhoun really, I think, uses some good language in here in talking about boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries does not mean that you have to cut people off. It just means that you have certain space, certain kind of rules of engagement that need to be followed. Really, she's just talking about a mutual respect and having the bravery to say that I will be receiving this respect. So I applaud this and the permission that she's given people to really feel their feelings.
I was listening to this and it's hard because each family is unique and different, and we've all gone through very emotional things with our families, whether it be coming out, how they've accepted or not accepted us. But at the same time, I look at where we are in the country, and having someone from an Ivy League school, Yale is where more people go to Ivy League schools from the top 1% than the bottom 60%. So someone from an Ivy League school, it feels like she's lecturing our society right now at a time where I don't think that helps, honestly. I'm please, liberal media, don't be telling people that their family is the enemy. Please, calm down and let people figure out their families themselves. That doesn't mean you shouldn't talk to your own mental health providers on how to deal with that. But I felt like MSNBC was being a little cringe with it. Not too cringe, but a little. And the thing that I will also say to a lot of us, I think, are going through our own mental health about the election, it's not your fault. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris made their choices.
Not if you voted.
Whether you chose to vote or not. You guys did not set the tone for that presidential campaign. They were big kids that knew exactly what they were doing. There were plenty of pollsters that could have told them what they were doing was going to go in a certain direction. They made a particular path choice for both of them. They're big kids. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. They need to deal with that.
And I'm going to say this, and there may be somebody, in the community who bashes Larry Farver for saying this. I've had conversations with my mother when we were going, it's terrible when you're doing it long distance. We weren't even doing it FaceTime. That would have been more fun. But we had conversations, and I said, Mom, I'll be honest with you. I really wish there was another choice. I said, I'm not happy with the choices, but certainly I'm not going to vote for Trump. I said, you raised me to respect women. And I told her, I'm not going to go into the grabbing thing and all this stuff. But I said, you taught me as a single mom raising me to respect women. My father and my stepmother did the same thing. So how can I support somebody with that baseline? Someone who hasn't maintained promises. But the other thing is to be told, whether it's a loved one who supported Trump in the election, that you have nothing to worry about. It's just their supporters, and that don't worry, at the end of the day, you're not endangered. Well, you tell that to many of us who were bullied as kids, and we put it back. That's our PTSD, just like the veterans.
Yeah.
I have learned to compartmentalize it, and sometimes it comes to the surface. But I'll be damned, and I've told my mother this, I'll be damned if somebody comes after me, just like in the Holocaust. I will have everybody's back, and I hope that our community does too. And not to remember that model. People sometimes, I think, slouch that off, and it's very real. So I hope that any of the people that supported Trump have our backs during this next 4 years. I hope the next 4 years goes calmly and that Trump maintains his position. But again, I know that there's some people out there who don't support us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.